All right, it looks like we've got some attendees flowing in. We'll just give it a minute or two before we get started. We'll wait just one more minute, give people a chance to get in, and then we will begin the actual presentation. I'll just wait till 1:02. There we go. Right. Well then, thank you everybody. For those that don't know me, my name's Erin Bullard. I'm the Director of Partner Relations at Immix. I manage our technology and integration partners. And one of the partners that we're very excited to have joining us today is Speco Technologies. Like I mentioned, we are very excited about them. We feel that there's a lot of great value to what they offer, and we feel that it's something that would very much benefit our mutual customers to take advantage of the joint solution. So, just some quick housekeeping before we do introductions. We're going to do a Q&A at the end, but if you want to go ahead and populate any questions in, there should be a tab for questions. Feel free to go ahead and put those in, type those in. We do have a couple moderators on. If they have an answer, they will certainly attempt to get that back to you. If not, we will get to it at the end. And if we run out of time before we get to it, we will do our best to get to it via email after this webinar ends. We also have the chat, so if there's anything in the chat that you would like to type in, where you're from, anything, if you have any audio issues hearing us, just feel free to put those notes in there. And a recording will go out after the webinar wraps. So quick introductions. I've already introduced myself, but let me go ahead and introduce Jason Caldwell, who is joining us from Immix as well. He is our Director of Sales and manages all of our Guard Force accounts. We also have Daniel Sacholski. Did I say that right, Daniel?
Close, house.
All right, sorry about that. Who's the national trainer for Speco Technologies and is very well versed on the Immix integration and how the mutual benefit can have a lot of synergies for our customers. So I want to go ahead and start out, Jason, if you'll go to the next slide. I want to go ahead and start out, you guys have joined this webinar, very much appreciate that, but we want to talk about the value of professional monitoring. So I've included some statistics here on why that is important. I did forget to mention the housekeeping. I think we are going to go off camera until the Q&A just so we can preserve a little bit of bandwidth here. So as you can see, there's some statistics on why it is helpful to have professional monitoring. Obviously, having some sort of security system and surveillance system can be a deterrent to start reducing crime rates, but being able to have a monitored system really enhances that and provides another layer to increase that again. We did want to go ahead and just, see from our audience, what is your level of monitoring experience? And so we'll give you guys a minute to answer that. And I believe that should be displaying on your screen. And it looks like we've got a good portion who have some experience. We've got a good number of monitoring veterans in the crowd, a handful who are just getting started, and some who are, somewhere in the middle, well-researched or currently providing services. So definitely a good mix, and we want to make sure, again, whether you are just getting started or you've been doing this for years that we're giving you guys some good ideas on best practices, where to get started, some low-hanging fruit as well. So if you to, whether that's Jason or a moderator, can you guys go ahead and close the vote so we go back to the presentation? Perfect, thank you. So, one of the things going back to monitoring, why not just hire a guard? Guarding and monitoring go hand in hand, and why not just hire a guard to watch the video full time? Well, it really depends on the size of the site, but aside from the fact that it sounds pretty darn boring, it's really impossible to pay attention to everything happening 24/7. It only takes a moment where they take their eyes off of the screen, or where they become a little bit biased to some of the activity and lose focus and miss something that could be critical. So the statistic is it really takes about 20 minutes for an operator to lose their focus, and they can miss up to 95% of that important activity. So beyond that, looking from a customer perspective, some of the benefits, obviously we are looking as an industry to, be more proactive with crime prevention, to provide, simple, effective, and fast deterrence. And we're really looking to promote a safe environment as patrons come and go. Beyond that, there's a lot of compliance that we may have to adhere to, certain regulations, having insurance premiums that, having surveillance and security and monitoring can also help to reduce. But having the event audit trail really gives you something concrete to refer back to make sure that you do remain in compliance. There's also the convenience of it. It's peace of mind after hours. I'm sure a lot of us have our own, Ring doorbells or, Blink or Arlo systems. And we're used to responding to that ourselves. But when it comes to more commercial properties and professional monitoring, after hours response when you're asleep, or when, again, you're just back home with family, being able to have somebody responding to those really gives you a lot of peace of mind, and especially making sure that they have an SOP that you've bought into in place will help to give you faster responses, whether they are dispatching security or they're dispatching law enforcement. And that engagement as they dispatch also helps to provide critical information to those responders so that as they do arrive on site, they have the critical information, and it promotes more of a safer response. So the thing that I'm sure a lot of our customers care about is really the cost side of this. So there is a lot of cost savings that will come from professional monitoring when you compare it to on-site officers, false alarm fees that they can receive from police, especially if there's no video involved, and the insurance premiums, like I mentioned earlier. So just wanted to provide a little bit of that context. And then Jason, if you'll move on to the next slide before we get into some introductions of our companies. So for those of you guys that don't know Immix, Immix is a software platform for professional monitoring. So we create a single pane of glass to manage security, safety-related events. We have been around for over 20 years, and we have largely been focused on video as our bread and butter. But we also serve as an aggregator for other types of technologies. That includes access control, alarm receivers, situational awareness tools, lone worker solutions. We have a number of AI solutions, and we also work with other alarm automation platforms. So that is by no means a comprehensive list, but just gives you some idea of some of the technologies that we work with. Something that we are very proud of is our internal expertise. So many members of our team, myself included, were actually previous Immix customers. So we have hands-on expertise and experience inside of a monitoring center. So we've been in our customers' shoes. So I also like to highlight a couple of benefits for using the Immix platform. So our software is browser-based, which makes it easily accessible for operators, for end users as they review events. It can also be customized to a particular central station or even to a dealer's brand. So it really creates a consistent user experience for both the operator down to the end user, which will vastly reduce any training and administration that's required. So instead of juggling multiple platforms, multiple applications, our software provides a single place for that operator to fully manage an event. Before we proceed, something I always like to make clear is that Immix is the software platform for monitoring, but we aren't the ones that are actually performing the monitoring services. So our customers are typically focused on the commercial market and include, a central station, monitoring centers, guarding companies, and some that may even, go as far as providing SOC as a service. But that is Immix in a nutshell. So I will hand it over to Daniel to go a little bit over Speco and provide some information into the benefits that they offer.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that. And for all those that are on today, Speco, all of us here appreciate your time and commitment to this industry and the platforms. It's a little bit about Speco Technologies. We were established in 1960s. Speco Technologies is a family-owned business, and we are committed to improving surveillance, access control, audio technology, and we do this through innovation, exceptional customer service, and high-quality products. And when it comes to products, in the next slide, we'll kind of go over what makes this fit very, very suitable for both parties. And our core mission here at Speco is to contribute to a safer and more secure world by surpassing expectations and trying to set the new standard in the industry. With a industry, kind of based off of crime, you always hear the words that crime's always growing, crime's always getting smarter. So by taking advantage of some of the platforms with the Speco combination with Immix, we have the capabilities of trying to get one step up on thieves and crime, and how can we make these systems more efficient to an always changing landscape. Speco Technologies does boast an expansive range of products. It encompasses cameras, speakers, both on the analog level, the IP level, which kind of allows us some more platforms to play with. We are fully integrated with our cameras and access control system as well too, so you can start tying in multiple platforms all under one house. We have a robust line of recorders, anywhere from 4 channels up to 128 channels. We have you covered. And then as far as the more goes, we have some different opportunities working into our software platforms with our Speco Blue VMS, as well as our SecureGuard dashboard. One of the main things is we prioritize research and development. We invest in it heavily in state-of-the-art technology to offer customers with solutions that are tailored to their needs as a dealer, but also the needs of the customers in that ever-changing landscape of saying, what is needed in this industry now? How can we get 1 or 2 steps ahead of the curve and start coming out with products that allow us to start doing more things like deter crime and not be just a witness of crime? And that goes into the modern security challenges that we're all facing, and these partnerships between Speco and Immix allow you to get one step ahead. So it brings us to the next slide of kind of why Speco and Immix. What makes this partnership work? Why are we all here together? And the main and most important thing is that it's not just about the compatibility that Speco has with Immix. We're more than just Immix compatible. From the camera level to the recorder level, we are fully integrated with the Immix platform. And in the next slide, we'll kind of get into more of what does that mean for you as a dealer? How does this help me as far as with that fully integration? But some of the main reasons why this partnership works, and we see a lot of dealers that are leaning heavy with Speco equipment and hardware to make this interaction happen, is that when it comes down to it, our cameras offer a 5-year warranty. A majority of our cameras offer a 5-year warranty. And what that does is help ensure quality products are being used in mission critical situations. With a less than 0.5% defective rate, it knows that when you as a dealer, when you deploy that camera is going to be stable, it's going to stand up to the environments, and it's going to last you year after year after year. No licensing on analytics is probably one of our biggest features in this market right now that's really untouched by a lot of competitors. It allows for a higher number of dealers to offer a higher level of detection. And what does this mean? This means by using things like line crossing and intrusion, regional entry, regional exit, we're able to do things like let's detect people, let's detect vehicles, but we're able to scrub through videos that would have took hours. Now we can do it in minutes or seconds. The continued support and integration work between Speco and Immix ensures growth in the future. It doesn't just stop with this camera, this recorder. There's continued research and development that goes on with both parties that allows for our new products, our new recorders to be fully integrated with Immix and not just Immix compatible. The accuracy rate of Speco Analytics, it virtually eliminates false alarms. It virtually eliminates false positives when it comes to people and vehicles being in this region or zone based off of a time. You know, our products have been put through the ringer by some of the biggest players in the industry, and we pass all the tests. You know, and also to keep that at a license-free platform, it's something that us here at Speco are very proud of to keep this offering alive. And the rapid growth of Speco and Immix integrations being deployed in the field, and I think that's one of the reasons that really brought this webinar to the forefront today, was because we're seeing such a big growth in this partnership together. Dealers using our products and those same dealers having different monitoring station options with Immix. And finally, you know, we have aligned goals of deterring and stopping crime before it happens. One of the biggest things you'll see in this industry, as we talked about, it's ever changing, it's ever adapting, is neither us or Immix want to be just a witness to crime. We don't want to just say the day after it happened, yep, something happened, here's the video of it. We want to be on the forefront of saying, okay, we saw an event, the camera was smart enough to see an event happening, and we were able to notify the Immix platform, and then that monitoring station was then able to dispatch police. But not only that, but Speco cameras were able to deter that crime with things like our digital deterrence before it happened. So we have multiple layers of checks and balances in place with this partnership that allow for your property, your customer's property, to become more secure more often. And so, kind of wrap it up here, we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, to Aaron's point, what is the Speco and Immix integration like? Immix does the software. Okay, so we're going to kind of look here. You'll see we're going to start left on the local site. We either have cameras out in the field, we have our IP speakers, peripheral devices out in the field that can be tied to the Speco recorders. Okay, so those Speco recorders are receiving events that are happening on the camera level, and then the Speco recorder, being fully integrated, is able to communicate with the Immix software that is sitting at a monitoring station off-site. The operator is able to use the Immix software to be able to do things like, what is this event? You know, that's going to take us to the right as far as investigate, to see the video, to be able to interact with that video. And Immix is going to fully show this in a little bit video later on. I'm just going over the 100-foot overview, nuts and bolts. But, you know, what are the four features that this allows you to be able to do? And, you know, and with this partnership and with this fully integration setup, it's about efficient setup time. As a technician and as a technical trainer, I know the value of being able to deploy a tech, know that in 30, 45 minutes, I'm going to have this installed, done, and he's going to be rolling out to the next job. We have pre-configurations that come from Immix that allow you to know every time a person goes out to a job, here's what we need to do for our standard configurations. On the monitoring side of it, it allows for alarms, attached images, pre-alarm footage, and also post-alarm recordings, all to be able to be monitored through the Immix platform. What investigative work does it give you for the end user? It allows for live video, it allows for playback, it allows for multi-view, PTZ, and presets. Immix will have access to all of these features in the recorder to be able to do the investigative work they need to be able to properly know how to dispatch and react to that situation. Lastly, we'll go over the interactive. When it comes to the digital deterrence that we spoke of, they have access to, Immix has access to relay controls, which means that alarm outputs, peripherals that are attached to the system and device, and also two-way audio, whether it's from our 04 TDD2M that allows two-way audio talk, or it could be one of our IP speakers that's attached to a camera. So multiple ways that Immix response team, as far as the dealer's monitoring station's response team, can interact through the Immix software to be able to handle the situation at hand. So, you know, I hope everybody understands. That's a 100-foot overview of how the interaction occurs. And then Immix is going to take it a little bit step farther and get to dive in a little deeper to what goes on behind the scenes.
Thanks, Daniel. Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute. I saw that we had a hand raised. Just wanted to make sure if there is anything that somebody wants to pop in, feel free to put that into the chat or into a question, and we can get those answered. So, so Daniel kind of went some of the features that the integration supports. And, the next step is, okay, so now that you know that you can do relay control, you can have live video, you've got pre and post alarm, what does that mean and what services can you really provide with them? We also wanted to set the tone, as this audience is potentially people getting started and starting to evaluate, how you start to bring all of the factors together. What are the best practices and how to get started? So, I would say with the exception of system health, this is probably the lowest complexity to the more complex services as you down. So, being able to respond to an alarm, whether that's a peripheral device, whether that is, a video analytic, have the context of that alarm come through, be able to pull, 5 seconds pre-alarm for the operator to be able to review, that's really alarm monitoring in a nutshell. And then adding the video verification piece to that, obviously coming from the video space and, partnering with response teams, this is so helpful. Jurisdictions will even require some level of video verification. There's ABS 01 that's being rolled out. And so, this is something that I would say is really a must at this point in the industry. Beyond that, you can also start doing proactive virtual guard tours, whether you can't trigger an alarm based on what you want, whether there's not something to look for that, specific type of event, or you're just looking for compliance-driven things, or it's too active of a site. This is a great alternative to be able to be proactive and start assuring site compliance. So this is something that can be scheduled into Immix, and you go through and you review the Speco cameras. And then you can also do remote access. And so this is where the two-way audio comes in. This is where the relay control comes in, being able to validate somebody, make sure that they're an authorized individual on the site, and then grant them access. That's really this in a nutshell. And then the concierge takes that a step further to really be more of a potential replacement for a reception. So this is, again, more of an advanced high margin service where I wouldn't say that's necessarily the place to start if you're just getting started. But it is a really valuable service that, even if it's not a full-time shift for a remote operator or for a central station to provide, being able to handle the one-offs will really create a lot of efficiency for a site and promote better site experience for visitors, for and patrons who actually come onto that location. And then, of course, I'm sure we have all experienced the issues where, well, the cameras were down. Well, there was some issue with the system, and being able to validate the system health, being able to receive the alarms when a camera's offline or when the site is offline and take some sort of action proactively. You never want your customer calling you and saying, hey, you didn't know that my cameras were offline. I thought you were monitoring my services. So this is, almost a must have when it comes to some of the best practices. And, you really start by evaluating the site risks. Jason's going to go a little bit more in depth, so I don't want to spend too much time here. But as we look at where Speco plays, you obviously have to evaluate some of what is in place, or if you're starting with a blank canvas, where do you have risks and what type of camera, what system do you need, what capabilities in that specific location? Do you need a call down? Do you need a speaker? Do you need, a device with a microphone for two-way audio in that specific location? And then really developing the standardized SOP for an operator to perform whichever of these services. I think it's good and helpful to make sure that you do have some standard that you could possibly think of, but setting the expectations up front is going to be really helpful with managing those. And, it's really important to have good relationships and coordination between whoever the installer is and whoever the person is onboarding that site, so they have all the details that are important. And then, of course, anticipate a burn-in period. There should be a period of time where the monitoring center gets used to the site and you stay a bit hands-on to make adjustments, to, evaluate what the operator experience is and then adjust accordingly. So those are some of the best practices. Jason, if you'll go on to the next slide, we did want to dig a little bit deeper into video verification. Again, this is the easiest place to start, and here are some of the things that will make this more effective. You want to be able to evaluate response time, and that's response time of the operator to get involved in the event through the video. It's also the response time for them to make a call down using the speakers, if that's part of, the deterrent strategy. Also the response of a dispatch, how long did it take them to get to a dispatch? All of that being auditable with the Immix system, you can really have those timestamps in place, and you have all of the video that the operator viewed, so you can really start to evaluate this. They can be provided with a site map, so especially larger locations, as they're going through the different cameras, this is super helpful for them, to be able to track individuals as well as communicate this when they are dispatching and escalating. Having the SOPs that are well documented so they know what the customer expectation is for when do they make a call, what are they looking for, what are the norms on the site, you have a cleaning crew, should anybody be there, do you have some level of activity, and how do you validate that? That's going to allow you to be more effective and not have potential misses. You're also going to need to have those points of contact and also anticipate, well, what happens if they don't pick up? Do you want us to get to the point where we dispatch police if it is something that has not been validated with one of the key holders or responsible parties? And then when there is an incident, being able to have that report, the packaged video, all of the audit trail, and have that send a notification to the key stakeholders as soon as that operator closes out the event. That's really how we help to support one another in packaging this up as, an effective and valuable service offering. And these are some of the things that will help to make it a bit more robust. So Jason, if you want to go over to the next slide, I believe this is over to you now.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. So obviously, probably a lot of you that are new to this, or maybe somewhere in the middle, or have some experience, it's knowing when and where to start. There's two areas that need consideration. One is on the client side, and then one is on your operational side. Now, the operational side is typically going to be geared toward the central station. So whether you are an installing dealer that has your own monitoring center, or you outsource to a third-party provider, that's where the operational considerations will come into play. But on the client side, where do I start? How do I determine what clients are right for video monitoring? Well, start with your low-hanging fruit. Really, any existing customer that has a camera system that is not monitored, there's an opportunity for you there. Even if it's just going in and providing them with a daily or weekly virtual guard patrol to check the system health and the system integrity. Are all the cameras online? Are the sight lines clear? Is it looking at what it's supposed to be looking at? Is there any blur or tilt? Are there any obstructions? If you're monitoring the site at night, is the lighting adequate for the camera to pick up what it needs to pick up? Just to maintain the integrity of that system so that that it's functioning properly. That's just a bare walk in the door minimum service for a very low cost that you can provide a client that can avoid a lot of those. Oh, we had something happen last night, and turns out the cameras weren't online. Also, any client that is currently using physical security guards or mobile patrols, when comparing cost structures, a video monitoring system can be looking all the time, or it can be looking at scheduled periods of time. So, when the site's closed after hours, maybe 6 p.m. to 8 a.m., hey, we want it active. You've got someone watching all the time. Not literally, but virtually you do. And if you have your system configured correctly using the proper analytics or AI, detection zones, and so forth, you're going to have a lot more reliable coverage and know as soon as something happens, rather than a guard who might be walking around the site. And if it's a large facility, if he's on one side of the property and somebody has studied his movement patterns. They can be on the other side of the property and be in and out of there and have done some considerable damage inside of 5 minutes. Something like that is a ripe opportunity to go in with a remote guarding or interactive video solution. Any type of outdoor asset protection. This is probably the sweet spot for 70 to 80% of our customers that use Immix. Is the camera system is the intrusion system. The cameras are running analytics or some sort of AI capability. They're going to trigger an alarm based on specific, line crossing, object detection, patterns of movement, directions of movement, loitering conditions, and it's going to send that alarm into Immix with a clip of the event that triggered the alarm and then access to that live video from any camera on the site. Usually outdoor assets are protected by a little more than a fence and a camera system or a physical security guard. So any type of outdoor asset protection, car dealerships, storage yards, scrap yards, construction sites, you name it, anything that may or may not have a fence at least is a ripe prospect for a remote video solution. If you have customers requesting monitoring services, asking questions, what more can you provide me? Obviously, there's an opportunity to upsell into a remote guarded solution. A need for monitoring arises out of an incident. If you have a customer that's had an incident recently or has had a number of incidents over the years, those should be among your first to call. And then any client that is experiencing false alarm issues and fines. So if they're getting a lot of dispatches for nothing and having to pay those fines, obviously there's a lot of incentive to go to something with enhanced verification so that when the police do need to be called, it's justified and provable that there in fact was a reason for that. On the operational side, so if you're a monitoring center and you're currently monitoring using multiple systems and juggling those systems because it becomes difficult, we call it rolling the chair around the floor, where you've got to have several different monitors running several different applications, whether it's one for intrusion, 2 or 3 for different video systems, maybe something else for an access control system. It can become very complex for a monitoring center to deliver efficient services that way. So having a single pane of glass to bring all of those security events into with the exact same interface for the operator to use, so they're going to know exactly where to navigate, where to type, where to click, knowing it's all going to be audited, then that is a real way to create both cost and labor efficiencies in your center. For non-standard takeovers of existing systems, the Immix integration library allows you to go in and chances are the equipment on site will be compatible in some way or another, whether it's a direct native integration or whether it's something that could be used through one of our generic stream takeover capabilities. Basically, if the site can send alarms using SMTP or HTTP and it streams video via RTSP, for example, or OnVIF, chances are it can be brought into the platform and monitored in your center or your provider center. If you're having difficulties managing operator compliance with SOPs, there is a scripting tool in the platform, which is a tool you can use to create a specific set of actions that an operator must follow before they can finish processing an event. So it's designed to eliminate the gray area and say, hey, you must do this, this, and this, and confirm all steps along the way before we can close the event or escalate to a dispatch or whatever the case may require. And then also manual processes between multiple systems can become very cumbersome. So, we've had customers in the past that run 2 different automations. Maybe they run, mass or stages or bold for their intrusion, and then they're running Immix for their video. Well, we have an integration via a service called Remote Link where we can connect the 2 systems. And if you get the majority of your events, say in mass, that's fine. If it's a mass event with an associated video site with it that's built in Immix, it will simply pop a second browser window showing you the video and all the steps that you can take in response to that event through the platform. And then, another key tip is bundling some sort of monitoring services with all new video proposals. In particular, those daily or weekly system health checks. It's a simple video guard patrol. We now offer it virtually, where it's auto patrol. It's AI based. So we have an AI engine that will automatically look at all those cameras for specific anomalies that you can select. And only if an anomaly is detected will it raise that patrol to an operator. So a brand new way for us to really create additional efficiencies in the center. So potential routes and considerations.
So, hey, Jason, can we actually take a quick pause, and we're going to get a little bit more feedback from the audience. What are some of the things that prevent you from being able to offer video monitoring services, or what are some of the things for those that are providing it today that you feel, holds you back, especially as you potentially evolve your services? Want to just get a little bit of this information, and then we will continue on, and you can select multiple answers. I would say try not to select more than 2. But I'm not the poll police. And it looks like the majority thus far is, where do you start, a bit of the knowledge around that, and then the resources. The good news that I'm seeing, and I would certainly agree with this, is it doesn't seem like a lot of people are saying that it's not in their market, perhaps. I think for the most part, people are demanding some level of monitoring services. Obviously, the range of that, the level that they expect engagement can differ.
Yeah, I would say to that, if anybody's putting not in our market or not our market, then you're in the wrong business today, because this is really becoming standard practice across the industry. And if you're not offering it at some level or other, you're really missing out on an opportunity that's only going to get larger, and your market share will only shrink if you don't get started sooner rather than later.
And I think with that, we will close the poll. And Jason, I'll let you get into, especially if people feel that it's not their market or not something they're wanting to do, that there are different routes to be able to do some level of this. So appreciate everybody who voted. But it still looks like there's a few coming in, so I'm just giving it one more second, and I'm going to go ahead and close it. All right, Jason.
Okay, so potential routes and considerations. So if you're looking to get started, the first place to look is, okay, how are we going to do the monitoring? So you have 2 options, essentially. You can go through a third-party monitoring center, or you can do in-house monitoring. I'm sure many of you already partner with a third-party monitoring center, and many of you have your own in-house monitoring center. You may be with a third-party center that currently offers video services. You may be an in-house monitoring entity that provides your own. But if you are, looking to choose between the 2, the things to consider in a third-party center, what's their geographic area of coverage? Are they regional? Are they statewide? Are they national? Are they international? What services do they offer? Do they only offer video verification services, and you're looking to provide more? Maybe you're looking to provide remote access or the virtual concierge, and you're going to want to pick a provider that is capable of providing those services. Do they offer customization and branding? So the central station is sort of anonymous to your customer. They only know them as a representative of your organization if you're a third-party dealer. What is their pricing strategy? Obviously, you're going to want to have a pricing model that's going to allow you to put the right margins on there and be profitable in providing the services. Growth and scalability. Are they going to be able to grow as you grow? Are they going to be able to scale as you scale? What type of customer relationships do they have? How many touch points do you have to go through to get to who you need? Or do you have a point person who can get you any information that you want from that relationship? Servicing of equipment. Do they provide any? Do they do any remote access. So if it's the middle of the night and all of a sudden the system starts sending a whole bunch of false alarms because you're having some of these storms that have been blowing across the United States the last couple of weeks, and you've got a tree branch blowing in the frame of the camera that's creating an alarm every 2 seconds. Do you have a relationship with them where they can go in and maybe mask that out without having to wake somebody up in the middle of the night and have you log into the system? And then what's their reputation? Obviously, you want somebody reputable. You want somebody that's been around the block. You want somebody with a little know-how. You want to know that they're going to be around for a while. And then what's their level of support and engagement? In-house monitoring, a lot more cost and operational factors to take into account. So if you're thinking about setting things up in-house, do you have enough building space? Do you have the right IT personnel? I cannot stress enough that the majority of issues that come about with remote guarding, remote interactive video services tend to be on the IT level. So somebody that understands IT administration, networking, port forwarding, firewall customization, all that kind of stuff. Do you have that type of personnel? There's lots of different compliance and regulations that you have to follow. It's not as strict for video. In fact, it's quite loose for video still today than it is for fire and intrusion. But that is changing, and there are standards that are starting to be put in place. And while they may not be, concrete and Old Testament yet, rest assured those days are coming. Then you've got to factor in hiring, training, managing operators, keeping them engaged, making sure you have some sort of ongoing, training refreshers, training them on new solutions as they come out. A strong management team, obviously, same with IT personnel. You need to have a strong management team. You need to focus on your target markets and verticals. What are the applications that are right for your operation? And that goes right along with your service menu. Based on those target verticals, what services can you reliably provide that are going to create value for those customers and offer profitability for your business? And then, you need to build out your pricing services. And again, ties right into the services. Is the pricing going to be right for, if you're a third-party monitoring provider, are dealers going to buy in? Are they going to accept that price because there's a decent enough margin on the back end for them to make money and continue to bring you business? Or if you're only doing your own self-installed installations, what's the right margin for you to be able to cover all the costs of everything we've covered up to now and make sure it's a profitable business model? And then building your brand. In any business, you've got to build your brand across the industry and make sure that you're a known provider of these services, a relied on provider of these services. And then create those unique strategic advantages. What do you do different? What makes your organization different? What helps create that customer stickiness for your organization? So some really basic steps to getting started here. Build your core offering. What is that menu of services going to look like? Are you going to offer, video verification, remote detection response, access control, virtual concierge? You're going to offer the full kit and caboodle, or hey, are we really only capable of, today reliably providing, video verification, video guard patrols, and remote detection and response? So when I say remote detection and response, that's where you're typically going to be using the camera system as the trigger point. So cameras detecting alarms, sending those alarms into the platform, and then maybe you're doing some sort of, voice down or relay toggle to hit a strobe, sound a siren, something like that. So you'll want to build that menu of services, and then you'll want to price those services effectively so that, depending on your business model, if it's third party or if it's direct, again, profitable, but enough to where you can get enough buy-in to grow your business. And then third, most importantly, scalability. How do you scale? How do we make sure that we can, add sites, add cameras, add devices, add staff, and remain effective, not fall behind, not have our response times lag, not have our security outcomes, dwindle. So what are the steps you can do to make it scalable? One of those is to choose the right tools. So when it comes to systems, I've worked for a couple of different monitoring entities, and the way we kind of went about and sold those, we had some system kits, and there'd be about sort of 3 or 4 different system kits, we called them, that we could walk down any main street in America and point to any business there and say, okay, that's system A, that's system B, that's system C, that's system D. So maybe your basic small retail or resi application is, hey, it's a 4-camera solution. Maybe a small business, it's 4 or 6 cameras with an audio. For a large commercial, it's 16 to 32 cameras with 4 audio points, a couple of relay toggles. For an enterprise solution, it could be vastly more complex. But if you have a basic system kit, then from there you can sort of a la carte on the different hardware pieces, software pieces, service pieces that you might need in order to make that a scalable solution. Also, platform. So you want to make sure you've got the right software platform, either through your provider or in your center, to where you can make it easy to receive all this data, process all these events, manage all these customers, create all these different reports, so that you can ensure your cost and operational efficiencies. Choosing the right monitoring partner. So Immix can certainly support you with that. We have a number of third-party providers out there that are excellent at what they do. We have some that focus on a more limited scope, and we have others that can offer you the full spectrum of monitoring services. If you want to bring it in-house and you are looking to stand up your own monitoring center or SOC, we certainly would enjoy the opportunity to support and walk you through that process. As Aaron mentioned, we have a staff with over 100 years of experience in monitoring operations at Immix. Many of us are former customers. Aaron is one. I am as well. In fact, Aaron was my customer. So we also have we have a couple of people on staff who have stood up Immix and call centers from a foundation and studs all the way to hanging the art on the walls and putting in the phone systems and training the operators. So we have the right team of people that can help you build out a successful operation, and we would be happy to discuss those service capabilities with you. Marketing your services. So the best would be to start with existing installs, or start with a friendly customer, so to speak. Run a pilot program with them, either for free or at a highly discounted rate, to prove the results, allow you to market it, maybe develop a case study. Also, an equipment versus solution sales model. So there's a mindset change here that a lot of dealers and integrators have a hard time overcoming, particularly the systems integrators. Alarm dealers, they totally get the RMR model and understand how, okay, I can add these services and garner more RMR, which is what my business is based on. A lot of systems integrators, not so much the case. They tend to be elephant hunters. They want to go out, sell really expensive equipment and systems. Maybe they throw in a maintenance plan, and then they're off to find the next element. So you've got to start by selling the solution, sell the service first, and then come in behind with, okay, well, this is the service you want. This is what you want to achieve. Here are the hardware and software solutions that it will take to deliver that service. On the sales side, education and training, even internally. So again, it's that mindset change. You may have to re-educate your sales guys. If they're the kind of people that like to go out there and hunt elephants, sell equipment, move to the next sale, then you're going to want to educate them on the value of this, train them on the selling points of solution-based selling, and then also incentivize them. So if you really want to build a business model around this, my recommendation would be to have one or multiple people dedicated to solely selling these types of services and incentivize them accordingly. It's an RMR business. They should be getting residuals on their checks. And then you have to be able to continue to evolve. So as new services, solutions, technologies become available, it really harkens back to point A there in education and training. They need to be able to evolve as new things come out. They need to continue that education so that they can go out there and continue to upsell services and make you more money. When it comes to execution, you need to set clear expectations. So you need to set clear expectations with the client as to what you can do, what you can't do. The sales team needs to make sure communications the sales team needs to make sure that expectations are clearly communicated to the monitoring center also. I've been guilty of it in the past where I've gone out there and sold something and brought it back in-house and said, okay, here's what we need to do. And they said, well, we can't do this. And so you don't want to have that happen. So you need to make sure that everybody is on the same page, from sales to the client to the monitoring operations, as to what those SOPs are, can they be delivered, and this is how it's going to be. That's extremely important, and that's what's going to, create that customer stickiness and, avoid uncomfortable conversations, avoid misses, avoid a myriad of negative things that could potentially happen. And then measure the results. So constantly be measuring the results. We have a number of tools within the Immix platform that will allow you to measure, alarm counts, alarm outcomes, patrol statistics, technology usage, operator efficiency. There's a myriad of reports you can run so that you can measure how effective you're being, and then communicate those values to your customers. Let them know if you had to do a voice down and, somebody was approaching your fence line, you conducted a voice down, chased them away, nothing happened. Do they know that? Is that being communicated? Did you have an incident report automatically generated to go to them? Make sure you're communicating the positive experiences to the clients. We had a customer back, this was years ago when I was working for a monitoring center, and they called up one day and they were like, yeah, nothing ever happened, so I think we're just going to cancel the service. Don't think we need it. And we went back and pulled a report of all these times where we voiced down and chased somebody off before they ever even got onto the property. And I think we had something like 19 preventions in like a 6-month period where something drastic could have happened, but we caught it, we executed, and it worked. Make sure that's being communicated to the customer. Monetary value of monitoring services. So, things you want to consideration, cost of on-site security guards. A video monitoring solution is usually going to come in at least 50% lower than the cost of a physical guard on site. Site and regulation compliance, savings on insurance premiums, obviously eliminating fines for false alarm dispatch, the auditability of these, through the reporting that I've talked about. You can also, and this doesn't really even have anything to do with the Immix platform, but through the Speco systems and through their recorders, you can do a lot of forensic investigation, and a lot of our customers do this as sort of a side business where they can, prevent, slip, they can go back and review slip and falls, or they get a bill from a contractor that says he had 4 guys on site for 8 hours. You can go back and look at the video and say, no, there were only 2 guys for 4 hours. So you can settle trade disputes and things like that. So there's a lot of different ancillary services that you can package on, especially if you've already got a team of people that are delivering, a full managed video services platform. Usually something like that is pretty simple to slip in. And then, of course, overages for additional events due to excessive alarm activity. And then talking about pricing models. So how do you price this? So there's a lot of different schools of thought in how monitoring entities price this. Some of them do event-based packages. So, for a given site, you'll have, X amount of events per month at a certain price. If you go over that, it goes to the next package level, or they'll ding you for every event over that, whatever it might be. I don't really necessarily believe in that. I kind of like a price per camera based on an assumption of volume of activity. So, and that's kind of where that burn-in period can be really effective as well that Aaron mentioned. But if you have a flat price per camera for different applications, different types of environments where you can assume a certain volume level of activity, then that's probably the most effective price model that I have seen. And, there's still always going to be overage charges for additional events, or maybe it just bumps you up to the next tier of events. So some people I know do a price per camera for, say, up to 100 events a month per camera. That's quite a bit. So, if you have a site that's, maybe got 10 cameras and, 8 of those cameras are sending in 30, 40 alarms a month, but there's 2 of them that are sending in 200 plus events per month. Okay, maybe those 2 cameras need to be priced at a higher level while the other 8 can be at a lower level. And then for different types of services, so when it comes to things like remote gate access or remote door access and things like that, think about maybe a specific price for each service based on the complexity. So if you're doing remote gate access, is it a residential community or is it a trucking and logistics center where you are having to collect the driver's ID information, the truck number, the trailer number, and then maybe you're also verifying on the way out if he's coming in to drop off one trailer and leaving with another, you're having to collect that information on the egress. That's pretty complex and pretty time consuming, so you're going to want to make sure you price that accordingly. That's what we consider a premium service. The virtual concierge service also, where maybe it's not just, visitor entry management, but maybe you're also handling package deliveries. Maybe you're handling things like someone needs to book the freight elevator because we have a new client moving into an office building. Maybe you're issuing temporary parking passes and things of that nature. So again, based on the complexity, the amount of time, the value of the service, and of course, if there's any inherent liability, should be factored into your pricing models. Now I'm just going to show just a quick demo of Speco and Immix working together. It's just a little video that I'm going to play here. So what you're looking at there is the Immix alarms page. So those different colored bars up there indicate different alarms that have come in. So what I'm going to do is process one that came in from detection from a Speco system.
So hey, Jason, we are a little low on time.
Okay, well, the audible shows you. So we have the image that triggered the event on the left, a live shot into that same camera on the right. Here you can see I have an audio tab open where if maybe my first order of business is to conduct a voice down and say, hey, you're in a restricted area. Police have been notified. You need to vacate the premises. Strolling through. It's just a simple mouse click to engage that audio. Next, looking at the multi-screen, there's a script at the bottom. So I mentioned the scripting earlier. So if you look at the bottom, it's asking me to view these cameras, make these phone calls. I go to the details up there if I need to. This is the audit trail. So everything in Immix is audited. So every mouse click, every keystroke is audited and reported back. You can access multi-views within the platform, and here is where I'm going to give it an event outcome. You can select the outcome. You can say police dispatched, confirm, type in a summary, and then it brings you right back to the alarms page. The alarms page is where an operator lives and breathes because that's where all of the events come in. Oops, I didn't mean to restart it. I'm trying to go to the next slide. It's not there. There we go. So in summary, Speco and Immix, we're better together. End user benefits, I won't list them all because I know we're short on time here, but improved operational facility efficiency, better control and visibility of of events on your site, free analytics without licenses. I think that's a tremendous value that Speco provides. Not everybody does that, especially a lot of the cloud-based AI providers out there. They're going to charge you for different levels of usage and different service tiers. Dealer benefits, obviously, a brand new revenue stream. If you're not realizing it today, you should be, whether it's through a third party or whether it's in-house. And then monitoring center benefits, got them listed there. I know we're short on time. Don't want to read through every single one. I'll leave this up for a minute while we just before we go to the Q&A slide. But with that said, I will go ahead and open this up for Q&A. While I leave this slide up, I'll switch back.
If I can just jump in. If you want to go on to the next one so people can see the contact information. Again, feel free to take down that information. We will try and send out the slide deck in the recording of this presentation in the next day or so. So you should receive that. There will be a survey that goes out immediately after this. If you'd like any additional follow-up from one or both of our teams, feel free to do that. I'm good to stay for a couple of minutes, but I do just want to make the point for those that may need to jump off that, Speco has a tremendously robust integration with the Immix platform. It is one of the only integrations that I would say is, really feature rich, and really rounds out all the capabilities and the services that a monitoring center would want to be able to provide. They do have, I think to Jason's point, the licenses for the AI not being an additional cost. There's always the, oh, by the way, we forgot to mention, and really dispelling all of the unexpected costs goes a long way to create more of that white glove experience with your customers. So Daniel, just want to give you a chance to jump in as well if there's anything you'd like to add before we address a couple of the questions for those able to stay on.
Thank you, Aaron. I think everybody covered everything really well. If anybody is interested in Speco opportunities, feel free to reach out to anybody at Speco. We can connect you with one of our sales professionals. We're here to help you build this platform, also build the platform with the right products so we can steer you in the right direction no matter what your need is as far as what components you'll need to put that together. And this was a really exciting presentation for us. We're excited to kind of show others out there what we can do to increase their RMR opportunities, but also, bring them to that cutting edge business model that we're seeing so many successful companies do in this market. So we do appreciate everybody's time from the Speco point of view today, and we look forward to speaking with you again.
So a couple of questions that we have that we haven't gotten a chance to answer just yet. Let's see, I'm trying to make sure I can go down the list. There was a question about internet speed requirements. I think this is potentially maybe something, Daniel, you can answer. Otherwise, we can always follow it up. There's going to be certain recommendations based on where you are.
And as far as, I'll speak a little bit on that, internet speeds are greatly increasing across the board. DSL internet is something that's kind of, going away as an industry standard. People are increasing to fiber. If you're able to view your app, if you're able to view the cameras, that recorder needs to send out an email notification, right? So the data that it needs to be able to do that is very minimal. I don't have any exact speed requirements, but that is something that we can definitely put out in the follow-up.
All right. Sorry, I'm typing another answer in here. It looks like, Jason, I'll let this one, I'll let you answer this one. Love the way that this question is phrased. Is there additional hardware required to push to the Immix mothership?
No, there is not. There is no additional hardware that you have to purchase and put on site to push it to Immix. We simply access the devices on site through a static external IP or a DNS, or we can accommodate VPN tunnels. Perfect.
Scott asked if there is a list of third-party monitoring centers that use the Immix platform. Out of respect for them, we don't necessarily publicize that list, but we can, if you want to reach out to us or we can reach out to you, we can certainly have some conversations with you and provide a couple recommendations and facilitate some introductions. So happy to do that. Mike asked.
That's sales@immixprotect.com email, and then someone will reach out to you. We'll determine what type of services you're looking to provide, and we'll connect you with the right partners.
So Mike asked, what is a good way to find a monitoring partner? I've seen some require us to be UL certified, and we are not wanting to go that way. So Jason, I will also let you jump on that one.
Same answer I just gave. Just reach out to us at sales@immixprotect.com. You do not have to be UL certified for many of our centers. I don't know who you've talked to, but just reach out. We'll connect you with the right people.
Daryl asked, what is the largest number of cameras Speco supports for one customer today? So Daniel, I will let you take that one.
Let me make sure I understood that correctly. Well, it was, what are the largest number of cameras Speco supports?
Yeah, for a single customer today.
I'd say we're probably up in the close to 1,000, if not more. It depends on if that's single location or multi-locations. If it's multi-location, single end user, you're probably looking at thousands. But most of, on just to kind of speak on, with the Immix integration, you know, most locations aren't going to have that vast number of cameras. That's a kind of a one-off. You know, it's with Immix integration, you're going to be looking at your typical residential applications. You're going to be looking at commercial applications, industrial applications, federal or government applications, where it's going to be a select number of cameras. Not very often does somebody come in and say, I want to monitor all of my cameras. It's specific monitoring points that are related to the security of that environment.
Yeah, I would say the average Immix site has usually somewhere between like 8 and 20 cameras on average. We do have some sites that have, you know, over 100. When we start getting into those sites that have, you know, a few hundred cameras, usually that's some sort of a campus environment with multiple buildings. And what we can do is segment that site out into what we call alarm groups, so that, you know, it would essentially be sub-sites under the one site, so that you're able to kind of segment that out for more accurate processing of a particular event.
And I'm just trying to take some notes and make sure I can get written responses back to some of the questions. Gerald said, thank you. Let's see, are there any other questions that I have missed? Don't believe so. All right. If we did miss anything, we will certainly get back to you. Feel free to reach out to us. Again, either of these email addresses, and if you want us to reach out to you, we can coordinate something, a meeting. That survey will go out shortly. But thank you guys so much for the time. Really appreciate you joining, and those of you that stayed on a little bit late. But thank you guys, and thank you, Daniel, and the Speco team for joining. We really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, and we appreciate everything you all do at Immix. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this webinar today.
Hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Bye-bye.